Did scientist Hal Puthoff just confirm the UFO crash retrieval program? Sort of, right? I'm going to have to let you decide. But, oh, man, very interesting what he just said. You see, he just did a Reddit AMA, and in that he answered quite a few questions. And one of them came up about, right, this program. And what he had to say was quite interesting. Now, stay tuned because I've got another clip after that to give us a little more context, right, about exactly, even if Hal Puthoff knew the truth, would he even tell us?
Well, a program like that, crash retrievals and so on, and deep analysis, I mean, this is something that, if it's occurring, is still behind the scenes and highly classified. However, I've interacted with the various intelligence officers who've been given the job officially, actual official jobs, to dig out what's true about the so-called legacy programs and crash retrievals and so on. People like David Grusch, who appeared before Congress under oath, and he made the statement that, in fact, there is a legacy program. We do have access to crash retrieved craft, even crash retrieved biologics. Knowing him and where he came from, he was at the National Reconnaissance Office, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, at the highest level of clearances. He interviewed, as he claimed in his statement before Congress, over 40 individuals over a 4-year period, and all this data was collected together, and it seems like there is that crash retrieval program. So although I can't say that I personally have been absolutely briefed on the crash retrieval program, I've interacted with people like Grusch and many others whose I just simply can't say I'm not hearing the truth. So I would put my stamp on the idea that there is such a program.
All right, so he's kind of confirming it, sort of, basically, maybe, right? This program, right? Which is interesting. His answer is very interesting, right? But before I get to that clip that I talked about at the beginning, right, that might give us more context, I have one bonus clip for you. And this is an interview with Eric Davis where he goes in to detail, well, sort of, about David Grusch and how he found out all the information he found, and how Puthoff is also brought up. You see, Dr. Eric Davis is quite involved when it comes to the UFO community and, everything behind it, right? And some say he might be at the center of a lot of it, right? To be honest with you, depending on how you look at this, right? So again, you decide for yourself. I'm just trying to connect some dots here. So let's play this clip, and then let's get back to that last clip of Hal Puthoff. Well, we'll just have to wait and see that one.
And I gave Dave all my data, all my briefing information, and he took that, ran with it, and he found everything. And then later on, I think maybe a year or two later, actually almost 2 years later, somewhere in that period, they finally got to meet with Hal Puthoff, and he briefed them with his set of information. A lot of what he has overlaps mine, but I have a lot of unique information, both in and outside of the era of the 15 years that I worked with Hal. A lot of it came from NIDS, and Hal knew some of that. A lot of it came from AFRL, and then a lot of it came through the OSAP with my interactions with the CIA and other agencies and companies and so forth. So Dave basically ran with our data, mine and Hal's, and found everything. Found 40 witnesses. I'm not going to say who they are, but I could say that I know 2 of them.
All right, so clearly Hal knows a lot more than he's letting on, right? But there is a reason for that in this upcoming clip, which I will explain. But before we get to that, if you notice in the very back behind Eric, sitting next to Eric Davis, is a gentleman, this gentleman right here. He goes by Missile Man online. And I actually had a chance to interview him about this interview. And that will be coming out this week. So make sure and subscribe to the channel so you're aware of when that interview drops. I had a great conversation with that guy, and we got into all kinds of different, I would say science, but for him, it was probably nothing, right? Elementary. For myself, it was like very interesting. We had a really cool conversation. So look forward. There was a lot more information about that interview you're going to want to hear. All right. So without further ado, let's get to this clip of Hal Puthoff maybe giving us the reason why he's being a little shifty with just confirming that this program actually exists.
Will Hal Puthoff ever talk about what he knows? Would you consider writing a book to be published posthumously? Sorry about that.
Posthumously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about it. My family is pushing me to do it. Of course, there are a lot of books out there already about everything I've done. So, but in terms of postulating or actually putting in print what I know from being involved in these programs, I'm still a patriot, and I still follow the laws of national security establishment. And so if something is being kept back under secrecy, I'm not going to violate that. So even in a posthumously published book, I would not say things that I've convinced are national security secrets. So I might do that, but if somebody's looking forward to reading it, to suddenly have everything spring out from behind the scenes, that probably wouldn't be the case, although it'd be pretty spicy.
All right. I think spicy is, definitely the right word to use. Revealing might be another one, right? Some might say profound. I don't know. It's hard to know, right? Because everything's just so shifty. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it's hard to get to the truth. People have signed NDAs. You got national security. We're talking about America's, deepest secrets here, which should be protected. I agree. So that's what always makes me wonder about this topic and how we can discuss some of these things so openly sometimes, right? It almost makes it seem like, I don't know, right? It just seems so odd that people can talk about some of this stuff, right? I mean, we basically have the government investigating itself. How's that going to work, right? At the end of the day, right? So I don't know. All very strange, all very interesting. I don't know. What do y'all think in the comments? Let me know, right? Did Hal Puthoff just kind of reveal it's kind of true, this, UFO crash retrieval program and legacy program? And what does that even mean exactly, essentially, right? I don't know, right? And it's kind of a revelation to hear that Eric Davis is the one that really turned everything on for David Grusch. He's almost kind of taking responsibility for David Grusch's entire investigation. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, but that's kind of the gist of it, right? Which is kind of interesting, right? When you think about it, right? Because David Grusch had 40 plus witnesses, right? So some hostile, right? I don't know. Was Hal Puthoff one of those? Like, what does hostile mean? That they didn't give Dave the information he wanted, or he had to forcibly get the information from him? I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. We'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.